right, welcome back, guys. We are at GNKnoxville. Myself, Valen, here with Aaron, FPS, and we are about to get this winners bracket final started, right?
Definitely.
So we got, for the winners bracket, we have Team Washed and Mullet Nation, people that we talked about in the pregame show. We were really excited about Washed, the squad that it just seemed so versatile, no pun intended, because it's one of the players. But the squad, what I was explaining to Josh was that they're very, very good. You expect to have one of them taken out, or sharp, such as a player that you can take out of the game, but with Washed, not so much. You don't necessarily have a player that you can just take out. Not sure what to expect. Any one of them can go off at any moment.
Exactly, and one of the things I wanted to point out, actually, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was no. Now, I'm not going to even make that point because I know I was going to say that they were both undefeated.
You actually corrected yourself.
Yeah, they were both undefeated. I was going to say both undefeated, but I think it was Wash that was the only one that was undefeated. I believe that
that's right. In pool play.
Yes, in pool play. Yep. They were undefeated in pool play. There was actually another team that did the exact same thing, and I'm actually going to watch Mathena because he was actually casting with me over the free-for-all a couple times ago, and he's actually, right now, he is 1-1, and I want to go ahead and point out what these teams are doing right now. So for some reason, the home flag of A was not captured by anybody, so the C flag is going to be in favor of this Wash squad, as well as the Mullet Nation are going to have this B flag, and they're just all going for this push over to this A side.
Right, so Vendetta is actually going to get taken out right as he gets close to that point, so I guess we're going to jump on board now with Versatile, as Nelson is actually carrying the team. And see, that's just another point that I was trying to make, as he is going to be the AR, and he's going to be here at B-Dom and try to take over, as we had 2 players down now for Mullet Nation. This is interesting.
It definitely is interesting, and you guys will most likely hear this crazy trash talk going in the background. And I'm watching Nelson because I know Nelson. I actually have a video of the match with Nelson. Right. He is the biggest, he has the biggest mouth. I guess I can kind of say that because you can hear him right now. They're standing up on stage, on main stage right now, yelling back and forth at each other. And really, that's gonna be one of the biggest factors in who actually wins this game. I mean, it might not seem like a big factor at the beginning, but trash talk definitely. We were talking about it before. It's definitely going to be a big factor in this game.
Right. So one thing that I noticed that it was Mullet Nation kind of standing up and getting really, really loud. I know that they have a couple of players that isn't typically a part of the pro Call of Duty scene other than Sharp, and I know Colchan is also one of those known players, but they're getting loud, and what I gotta say is that this hype, it's definitely a do or die thing. It can either help you and by taking out one of the other players, but you got to be really careful because you don't want to overexert yourself. You don't want to try to start actually trash talking to the point where you're not focusing on what's going on during the game. So as we are watching Versatile as he gets takeout in your kitchen, I would expect him and Nelson to start picking up. But like I said, this proves my point. If you're looking at the stats for this Wash team, 9-6, 9-7, 9-4, 9-6, we have consistency from this squad as we have Colchain actually doing really well, 11-7 with 1 cap on the other squad. Now, one thing that I got to expect from this Mullet Nation team is that they're not being quite as dominant, and domination is normally their cup of tea.
It definitely is because, I mean, in the other games that they've seen them just absolutely dominate. I know me and you actually casted over one of them. They had like not a 200-point lead, but they got over 200 points and when they were playing at the end of both rounds of domination. Right here, you can see it might be one of the factors of why they're losing actually 50-33 is that if you look at Quickfire, 1-12, with 2 kills. Now, KD, not the biggest thing, but when you're going 1-12, those are the kills that actually maybe somebody was on the B flag, he goes in for the B flag to try to defend it, and he's not able to get that kill. And when he's 1-12 like that, definitely going to be a big factor, even though KD might not be the biggest factor when you're playing competitive Call of Duty.
Actually, so he actually gets taken out again, so now he is 1-13. And for your team, you got to think that's a really good point. As that player gets outgunned, I think.
Yeah,
loud enough
definitely outgunned.
So 1-14 now for Quickfire. I would hate to point a player out, but you're right. At this point, it's almost like they're playing a 3v4. He's really going to have to step it up and at least focus on stop dying. Domination being one of those game types where if you can stay alive for your team, it's big on positioning. So rotating around the map, making sure that you're getting those pinch points, especially on strike zone. So if he really needs to focus on staying alive and kind of letting Sharp and Colchan actually just take over the slaying part.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of want to make a little note of their name, Washed. I mean, Washed, you usually think of like, I feel like they're kind of like being a little bit ironic. They know that they're going to be pretty good, so they name themselves Washed, and they're not washed whatsoever. I mean, look at the scoreboard: 17-10 for Versatile, 16-6. Nelson being one of the most verbal on his team right now. Let's go and switch on over to him. It looks like he's going to be using, and this is a gun I've seen him use throughout every single map that they've played.
Right.
He's using the SC-2012, which is something that you usually don't see in this game. I mean, really in this game. I mean, you usually see the Remington being such as a versatile weapon.
Right, the Remington seems to be the go-to for the AR, but I love that he is using that gun because it seems like preference at that point, but it is getting so loud in here as we had 3 members of Mullet Nation down, and this is getting very impressive as we get ticked down to the 0 mark. As Washed is going to win that round 87-57. Very, very impressive, but I love the consistency across the board, which is something we've been preaching this entire time from them.
Definitely. I mean, you're going to have to get... see, one of the things that I saw that they're doing wrong is, I mean, you can see Quickfire, we were talking about him, 5-17. Now, he was able to get a few kills after not getting, like, a single kill. I mean, he had 1 kill. He was 1 in, like, almost 13. We saw him the last time that we actually made note of him. But 5-17, he decided to pick it up a little bit, but I guess one of the things that he was doing right is that he has 3 captures, almost, I mean, the same amount of captures that everybody has on the other team. And right now, if you see Versatile, Nelson, Mathena, Jester, all of them had a pretty good amount of caps, but I mean, really most of that game, they didn't have to cap a lot because they were able to hold either 1 or 2 positions throughout the entire map, and that's how you can see that they have such a, like, not a big lead, 30 points. I mean, we've seen them come back from these kind of things before.
You start to get, you start to enter that panic zone realm, but at the same time, I think if Quickfire can just step up, and it seems like he was kind of trading kills. He was trading kill for kill, which is something you still don't want to be doing, but at the same time, when you start the match 1-12, it's almost like you expect your team to be at a disadvantage. So going into this map, I would expect Quickfire to have a quick start and maybe just kind of slow down his deaths. You don't have to necessarily, with certain teams, and this is a big point, you don't have to necessarily come out of the gate and you have to just be the main Slayer now. We just need you to focus on alive. Let your main Slayers slay, stay alive, and just kind of facilitate, rotate around the map. Map positioning is so huge, especially in this game. So if he can just stay alive, I would expect his team to be able to bounce back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you were saying that they don't have to come right off the start but what they do have to keep in mind though is that they are down by 30 points, and by coming strong off the start, what they're going to do is, if they are number 1 able to come off of the spawn and be able to do some work, get at least 2 flags, they might be able to shut down the trash talk that's coming from this Wash side, because this is definitely showing. I mean, you guys can even hear it on stream. This is getting a very verbal matchup right here between Washed and Mullet Nation. So that's going to be one of the things that they're going to have to do, is try to maybe come off the start, get those 2 flags, and get a little bit of a lead over them, so maybe it kind of silences their trash talk a little bit. But the thing is, Nelson being such a verbal player, I feel like it's not going to be much of a change if they were to do that.
And it's also going to be a big task, right? So you don't just shut down a player by shutting him down. It's as a team, it's going to be really hard to get washed off of their game, and the fact that you have someone like Nelson or you have someone like Jester just kind of going off, it's going to be very hard for them to just switch the pace of the game. So what I expect, if you are Mullet Nation, I think what you have to do is Quickfire has to really step up and say, hey, I need to slow my deaths down. I'm going to focus on map positioning. I'm going to let Sharp and Colchan do what they do best, and that's slay, run the map with their subs, and just kind of take over and just focus on rotating. So that's something that they have to do in order if they're going to come back and win this game.
Exactly. So what I really want to see them do is go for this C and the A flag. I mean, mostly that's what we see on Strike Zone, being that we've talked about it before. Strike Zone is such a different map when it comes to domination, just because there is 3 flags and they're in more of a triangle than a line, so the spawns are just absolutely different. When you have that C and the A flag, they will go ahead and take that B spawn, and that's one of the spawn traps that you're going to have to look forward to when you're going into this match. So, of course, we're going to have Sharp right here, and we're going to see what he's doing. He is 0-1, not doing really great off the start, and like we were saying, they have to do good off the start, and I mean, they, like you said, necessarily they don't have to be extremely well off the start, but they're going to have to go as far as in the game, being that there's only 5 minutes left, down by 30 points, someone's going to have to make a move.
Right. So something we also talked about was knowing that you have to have a short memory in Dom, right? You don't have to necessarily go into the second match knowing that you're down. You have to go into the second match knowing that it's a clean slate on the map, and you have to play it the same way you went into the last one. And if you're doing something wrong, making that switch is really important. It's something we talked about from earlier in the tournament is that certain teams really have to focus on, hey, we need to, something is obviously not working right now. We need to switch something up. We need to slow it down, or we need to get more aggressive. We need to make sure that we're communicating in our pushes, so anything along that nature. So I'm expecting to see a lot from that. But talking on the point of that we started, so really we just have washed up by 5 points right now, which really isn't a big deal. But if we take a look at the stats, we do have Nelson taking over the game as he did at the start of this the other round. But looking at the other side, we have Quickfire doing what we kind of expected or wished that he would, right? So right now he's 3-3, which is not bad with 1 cap. He's keeping his deaths under control, and that's how the game stays close. Because the second you start dying too much, you're taking yourself out of the game, and you're just making it easy for the other team.
Exactly. So I actually wanted to make a point on what you said about communication, is that that's what I think that they're not doing that well. What's happening is we actually saw that the Swash squad was able to take control of that A and C split, one of the biggest things that we see. Of course, in strike zone being that the positions are in more of that triangle that we were talking about. And not as much communication coming from that team because I've been seeing like 3 people going down on this Wash squad, and they're not really making a move on that. And also, I mean, you can see that on the other side, the Wash squad is doing a really good job of communication because they are able to, when they know that 3 are down, and they had that A and C, well, they had the A and C flag keeping them back in the B flag. But when somebody started to go for that C flag, they actually switched on over to take the A flag, and they were still able to hold those 2 points. So right now we can see that they are winning, or it's washed over this Mullet squad 46-30. 2 minutes, almost getting down to that 2-minute warning mark. What do you think this Wash squad, or not Wash squad, but what do you think this Mullet Nation squad has to do to maybe even come back into this game?
Right. Well, one thing, I think a big thing is what Sharp did right there. They were able to get the A and B caps as they actually lose A, actually regain it. But they were able to get those 2 caps, so they knew that where they were spawning, they converged on that spawn, but Sharp was taken out. I think you really ease into those spawns because a team like Washed is going to be very smart, especially if they're 3 dead, which they were as Sharp was making that push. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to come back. They're going to say, okay, let's play this smart. They're going to move out very smart. They have one player that's not doing so hot right now, which is Mathena, as he does pick up a kill 5 and 9 right now. But Versatile really showing that his name works, right? So he's 6 and 4 with 5 caps right now in this round. So they're doing a really good job of maintaining this lead. They already have, I believe, a 20-point lead going into this, so this is not looking good for Mullet Nation, but something is going to have to change really fast in the middle of this game.
Exactly. So, I mean, as we get even down past the 1 minute and 30-second mark, they're definitely going to have to change something, what they're doing in this game type domination. I mean, of course, they have to keep at least those 2 flags, but really throughout this entire thing, as I'm actually on board with Mathena, he is on the Wash squad, they are going to keep this C and B flag. So, I mean, really, honestly, I don't see them coming back from this one with just 1 minute left as we're now past that 1 minute mark. I mean, 74-50, that's a 24-point lead, and then plus the 30-point lead that we went in going into the second half.
We're getting to the point where it is mathematically impossible. I think we're literally 10 seconds away from that point. So it's looking like our Washed squad is going to be taking game 1, which is Dom on strike zone. But this is very impressive. Washed being a very, very impressive squad, as Mullet Nation is going to be 3 down with Colchain being the only one alive for that squad. So it does dip down to the point where we are out of that zone. So Washed taking game 1.
Washed definitely is going to take run, but remember, this is going to be this is the winners finals, am I correct?
Absolutely.
This is the winners finals, so of course the winner of this is going to go ahead and move on. But anyway, this is going to be like the other matches we've seen have been best of 3s. This is, I believe, is this the first one that's best of 5 on stream?
I believe we are a best of 5 in the winners final. So we are actually going to see another domination game, and we are going to see 2 search and destroy games. So I'm really interested. This was a big one for me. I had Mullet Nation playing a very strong dom game, but Washed really showing that this is one of their good games. And as I was saying before this round, Jester having an amazing game, going 20 and 11 that round, actually picking up the kill cam. So very, very impressive by this squad. They cease to amaze me, and I don't know. Going into search and destroy, I think that if Mullet Nation has typically started very slow this tournament. Going into these, so I would really expect for Wash to just do the same thing. They do a really good job of changing the pace of their game, so they're very aggressive in domination, so I'd expect them to approach the search and destroy a little bit differently, but at a veteran level. So this match could really go anyway. We will see another domination game, so who knows, maybe Mullet Nation will be able to have that same thing, that we'll get another shot at them with domination.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is I know you're saying that we might see another domination game, but if they win 3, then we're only going to see domination. Exactly, we won't see that second domination game. But see, what I see about here is you have a best of 5, so you have a lot of time to actually get your shot on throughout the different game modes. You kind of get, I guess, feel the waters on how this other team is going to play, and I think that's really what the first game type is always about, is seeing how your players play.
Yep.
But also you can't kind of gauge